Put your hands together for a huge welcome to Cole Moreton.
Hello. I want to just prep you for something I'm going to do in the middle of this. Right, we all know what a Mexican wave is, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I know, sorry. We're going to do a Mexican wave. If you're energetic, stand up, but if you're not, don't worry about it too much. But we're going to change it slightly. Who's seen the movie Wayne's World? Well, Matt has, so that's a good start. But you'll know, even if you haven't, you'll know this gesture, right? So if you do a Mexican wave, you do that, right? And then you sit down again. But if you're doing Wayne's World, they do the "we are not worthy" thing, right? So you go like that, and then you go like that, okay? Sort of bowing down, okay? I'm going to ask you to do that in your seats. We'll see how many people are game. And there is a very good reason for it. I want to take you back to the year 2012. This is the London Stadium, and the noise is incredible. 60,000 humans shouting, screaming, bellowing, shrieking, pleading with the skies in favour of one man, all willing him to win. And if you want to know what the noise was like, think of the roar of a jet engine and jungle beasts in the night and migrating birds and the crash of waves. I've seen goals scored in massive stadiums and rock bands in similar places, but I've never heard anything like this. In the Olympic Stadium in the East End of London at the Games of 2012, as the 5,000 metre running race reaches a climax and the home hero has a chance to win. And it's hard to think, it's hard even to breathe. Everyone is breathless on their feet or on their toes, looking down into the arena at the orange track encircling a field of green and 15 figures moving through the iridescence, tight together, as if they're fleeing from a common foe. But everybody's eyes are on the one in the white vest and blue shorts. A slender man with a sloping gait, who is quite possibly the greatest British athlete of all time and is now attempting to prove it when it really matters at the finale of the sporting event of the century. In this country, anyway. A show so huge, we've run out of hyperbole. Mo Farah, as we know him in the summer of 2012, and everybody knows the story that he was born in Somalia 29 years ago, that he was taken to Djibouti to escape the civil war, and brought to London to be with his dad at the age of 8, barely speaking a word of English at first, but growing up in West London, playing, laughing, learning, dreaming of becoming a car mechanic, or striking for Arsenal, working in McDonald's, or running and running and running and winning school title after school title until he was getting help with training, becoming a British citizen, working his way without knowing it towards this moment, the here and now, the climax of a golden summer. And we've learned to call him Mo, this spark in a fire of pride and optimism, who holds the hope of a nation in his metronomic heart down there in the light, where he's in the middle of a fight and the running pack is tight. They're ready to crowd him out or gang up on him, we think. Do anything they can to stop him getting another gold medal at this Games, although to be honest, that's patriotic paranoia. That's hard to say. Talking. And Mo's been at the back of the race. And anybody who hasn't seen him is worried, but I've just seen a very wise mom shout into the ear of a very nervous dad. Say, "It's all right, Mo knows what he's doing." And we hope so, we really hope so. We mums and dads and sons and daughters and flag wavers and bearers of homemade placards, we chanters and screamers, we jumpers and shufflers, the overexcited and the playing it cool and the dizzy from the noise, and the ones who are dazed by the head spinning intensity of this moment. And as the screams come harder, faster, higher, I see what they're doing, and I marvel. A Mexican wave in the crowd, of course, as we've seen so often here, a great sweep of human movement as people rise up in turn around the stadium, raise their hands in salute. Let's raise our hands in salute. And then slightly go forward And there we go. But this one's different, you see, because at the top of the wave, they call out his name. Let's call out his name. Mo! Mo! And they bow down and they stretch out their hands towards him. A gesture that says we are not worthy. And this is done with a strange sense of supernatural timing. So the rise and the fall and the call are always just ahead of Mo. Like we're doing it with him. So when the bell rings for the final lap and Mo is in second place, we know he'll go, and so he does, up to first, and he's leading, with the pride of Kenya and Ethiopia in his wake. They've been running a dozen minutes, but this is a sprint finish, and Mo has more. He's all out now, crossing the line, a winner, looking astonished, eyes and arms open wide, as if he can't believe it. We can't believe it. And the noise? I've never heard anything like it. What a race! What a man! Says the reporter next to me in the press stands. She's from Estonia, it doesn't seem to matter. Mo's wife is down the front, heavily pregnant with twins. Heaven only knows how she doesn't have them right here and now. Jamaicans are laughing because their hero, Usain Bolt, did press-ups after smashing the 200. And would you believe it, Mo is sitting on the track doing sit-ups to match his mate's joke after the race of his life. And in comes the thunder of a song we've heard so many times now at these games. David Bowie singing We Can Be Heroes. How strange to hear that howl of anguish captured in a studio by the Berlin Wall at the height of the Cold War, used as a rallying cry for British athletes, but it makes sense in a summer of transformation. Muslims are terrorists, the British have been told, falsely, subliminally, explicitly, since 9/11 and 7/7, but here is a British Muslim kneeling to kiss the track and raising his hands to Allah, while the crowd continues to chant his name. Seconds later, he's trotting along the perimeter, high-fiving kids, posing for pictures, being showered with love, wrapped in the Union flag. We are all being remade in this beautiful moment. Here he is on the podium. Oh. Taken by me from the press stands. Something else happened at the Olympics became the Paralympics, and I found myself back in that stadium with my family, enjoying a race. And I remembered that 15, 20 years ago, I'd been at the Lee Valley Ice Rink where my friend Sharon had been refused entry because she had cerebral palsy. And the bouncer there said, "You can't skate, you can't come in." And she said, "Okay, I'll have a drink." And we all said, "Well, we'll have a drink with her." And the bouncer said, "No, you can't come in. You put everybody off." But in 2012, with my kids, I watched my kids cheer for the heroes running the 400-metre race for people with cerebral palsy. I've been making this podcast, which will be a book, called Can We Talk? It's a set of true short stories about encounters with remarkable people. And in series 1, I had Scarlett Johansson and Tiger Woods and Mandela and Tutu and the Queen, all these people that I've had contact with through work. And also a refugee called Zara who crossed the channel on an overladen rubber boat one early Christmas morning, because we're all the same. Under our finery, under our rags, or our Stella McCartney running gear. And I've learned as much in my life from someone like Zara as I have from someone famous like Sir Mo, or rather, Hussein Abdi Kahin. Because as we've just found out, the story he told us about himself was not true. He was a victim of child trafficking, brought to the UK under false pretenses by someone who ripped up all the evidence of connection with his real family, gave him fake papers and a new name. Hussein, now Mohammed, was made to clean this stranger's house and look after children and act as a domestic servant, and not allowed to go to school until the age of 12, when the teachers were told to lie. The only thing I could do to get away from this was to run and run, he's been saying. On the telly tonight, actually, while we've been here. And as the race wins piled up, this young athlete felt able to confide in his PE teacher, and that fine man intervened, and social services were contacted and told the truth, and he was placed with a foster family from Somalia, and his life began to improve. And the boy was granted British citizenship under the name Mohammed Farah, and given a passport so he could compete internationally, so he can continue to use the name. I kept it all locked up, he's been saying. Now the truth is out publicly. The Home Office says it will not take any action because children are not responsible for what happens to them, which is a rare case of common sense and justice prevailing. Because let's be honest, if he was not famous, if he was not a Knight of the Realm, if he was not Sir Mo, there's more than enough evidence to suggest he might not be treated this way. And yet, it is among the best ideas we have had as humans, that everyone is equal and equally loved and equally lovable, and therefore we should love each other equally and turn the rules of the world upside down. And briefly, for a while in the summer of 2012, as the Olympics became the Paralympics, we acted together like we knew that. And it was great. And I remember Mohammed Farah sitting in the press room after a win, being asked by a reporter if he would not rather be running for Somalia. I remember the intake of breath from those of us who thought we understood, and the look of hurt that crossed his face for a moment, with a secret backstory that none of us knew, before he answered with a wide smile and a deep grace, "Not at all, mate. This is my country." I want to finish with the sound. In fact, if we could have the volume up as much as we can, that would be great. This is filmed from my iPhone as Mo took the podium and the crowd sang the national anthem. I've never heard anything like it. Thank you.